right from UK to the UAE, to Italy, to Spain, to the eastern countries like Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, to Qatar, to Oman, to Turkey, to Azerbaijan, to South Africa, to Egypt, to Canada, to Iceland, to USA. Sonavan has literally covered the world. Since 2008, she is teaching meditation in Abu Dhabi, both in the corporate environment and to individuals personally. Sonavan's journey, I believe, started quite early in her teenage years. And she created some amazing results for herself, which she took on spreading across the world to create a sattvic world around, a pure world around. Her teachings are practical based, as applied to our day to day lives. The impact that it could have on one's mindfulness, to dealing gracefully with stress, to healthy interpersonal relationships, and to have effective communication. Sonaben herself is an avid learner, and she has been trained as a professional interpreter and a translator, speaking 7 languages. I would say 8 languages because mainly she speaks the language of the soul. Some of the companies that Sonaben has been working with or has worked with include Etihad Airways, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Abu Dhabi, the New York University, Adamax, Corniche, the UAE Embassy in Azerbaijan, and these are just to name a few. Prior to this, Sonaben has had the role of Retreat Center Coordinator for the Center of Spiritual Learning, which is a massive 132-acre property in the Blue Mountains in Sydney, Australia. And today, Sister is going to interact with us on the topic creating your Vyaktitva, that is your personality, through Avyakt Learnings. Sonaben, I believe, doesn't like to just give lectures. She likes interactions. So she's going to interact with all of us, and we're going to walk out with a lot of value out of the session today. So again, a warm welcome to you, Sonaben. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Vimish Bhai. You've given a class about me. I don't know so much about myself as what you've said. It's very, very kind. Ultimately, we're just all Baba's children, really, with different parts and different stories. But certainly, it's wonderful to be with you. And I guess it's early morning for most of us in India, which is the best time, really, to study. And I was looking at the Murli of last Sunday, actually, and was thinking of talking about some of my churnings from that. But then I'd like you to see how perhaps we can implement what Baba says so that our lives actually change. Because whenever we talk about creating a personality, I think most of the time we know that we're not creating anything, we're just resetting. We're resetting our personality back. In fact, we're resetting our entire life back to the way it was. It's not hard work. It just requires the correct method. And so as you know, it's the 18th of January, Murli, 1990. And I saw something the other day on Facebook, I love sayings and I love quotes, because they really stimulate my intellect. And the quote was that it's not the speed that you travel with that matters. What matters more is the direction you take. And I realized that no matter how spiritual we are and how long our journey has been, what will really get us to our destination is the fact that we're traveling in the right direction. And so to be able to change my personality too, I need to be working with the right tools. And I kind of need to know not just the aim or where I'm going, but I need to know the roadblocks. And so personally, for me, my entire life, Jnani life, is summed up in just that topic of today. I'm recreating my personality. I'm resetting the personality. And to do that, let's see what is really involved. Because whenever you rewire a house, I don't know if any of you know much about construction or electrical wiring, etc. Sometimes houses have such bad wiring that you switch a switch on and either, rather than that right bulb going on, the wrong bulb goes on, the wrong light comes on, or you end up constantly short-circuiting. And I think for many of us, we've got into this loop of short circuits. And what I mean by that is how many times, situations come in front of us and the old personality, just comes up. It bubbles up, even without wanting it to. So for me, this entire journey with Baba of Raj Yoga is for me to be able to rewire my entire inside and to come to a place where I have changed, I have transformed, I have reset to a place where I'm comfortable with myself and the world is comfortable with me. So just backtracking a little bit on some of these things that have been said in the Murli, and then I'd like to take up some reflective questions. Because one of the things I've learned in lockdown is reflection. Baba sometimes says, apne se baatein karo, meaning just talk to yourself. And I think that honest conversation, the honest dialogue, the inner dialogue that we have, I call it reflection, but I think that is one of the most powerful tools we have in our Jnani life. We have a lot of Gyan, we have a lot of understanding, we have a lot of information, and it's very supreme information. It's up to us to spend time to gain power, yoga power within the soul, but then to direct the Gyan and the yoga power in the right direction, and to reflect and to personalize that information to create change. This is what we call, in one word, dharana. It's so simple to say, well, this is your dharana, or just imbibe it. But there's quite a few steps involved in that. And only when something has become my dharana has it created a natural being that I can say that, yes, this is now my personality. So just looking at some of the points that that I thought about. One is that you can never destroy your personality. You can only change it. Just as everything in this entire universe, everything is forever. It is eternal. There is nothing that can ever be destroyed, but everything goes through a state of constant change. The drama is about constant change. Therefore, even within me, everything that is happening, it's my own little drama, my own little universe in there, it's undergoing constant change. in whichever direction. Yes, we know that we were going in the opposite direction before we came to Baba. And now hopefully the direction has changed somewhat. But to completely change my personality, what does it mean? I think change in the soul ultimately is a tug of war. You know, on the one side, we have the voice of truth, the voice of what I call wisdom. And the voice of wisdom is my intellect. On the other side, the tug of war, which we think is probably going to be the mind. But actually, the mind is just a puppet. The mind is a puppet of my subconscious mind, or what we call our sanskars. So another word for that is my old personality. So here we are. There's this tug of war going on constantly within me of the old self and this voice of wisdom, which is guiding me to the new self. And even though we say this voice is guiding me, obviously, this voice is listening or is taking power from the fact that there are new or clean sanskars also hidden somewhere in my personality. You know, the intellect doesn't just have all the wisdom within it from nowhere. You know, Baba awakens the intellect, but awakens it to what? You know, when we say we are enlightened, there is light. Light for what? Unless the light is of use to me, why would I be so happy when you put the light on? So I put the light on so that I can see. And I can see because I want to achieve something. I want to do something. So if you're looking for your phone in the dark and you say, can you put the light on? It's because you want to look and find that phone. In the same way, Baba comes and Baba creates light. He enlightens, awakens the intellect. But for what? There's got to be a purpose to it. And so the purpose is for us to be able to re-emerge, reset, and to pull up all those old, beautiful, clean sanskars, older than the old sanskars I'm using now. And so that this tug of war then starts to create a direction that takes me towards the purer, cleaner sanskars that are ultimately taking me to the next part that I need to play in the drama. So it's the intellect that is being propelled by the sanskars of purity that is absolutely crucial in this entire game. Absolutely crucial. So everything I'm going to do with you today is around knowing the intellect better, knowing what kind of intellect am I still using. Because we came from an intellect that either, and you'll know yourself, right? Either is a question mark intellect, meaning an intellect that when faced with problems goes into the criticism mode, questioning mode, blame mode, shame mode, judgmental mode. You know, we call it the critical intellect. Or we come from an intellect which is an expansive intellect, you know, an intellect that constantly wants to run away from the actual issue, from the actual matter. And rather than looking within, the intellect keeps searching out there and expanding on the issue so much that we just get lost in it. It's not incredibly critical or judgmental, but it loves to create an absolute story so that I get lost in the story and I don't have to look at myself. It's almost like an avoiding intellect. It's an exclamation mark intellect. an intellect that just keeps expanding. Whereas what our right direction is full stop. It's complete control. It's actually coming back to stillness. And so the only way to really create change is to understand what happens to me when I'm faced with my old sanskars. What does my intellect do? How does my intellect work? Because if I can catch what's going wrong in my intellect and the way it's operating at times of need, then I know how to create a new method to deal with that, and therefore deal with my old personality, and to put it to bed, and to take that power away from it and redirect it towards my new personality. So all power for change is really in the intellect. How do I know that I have a good intellect? The intellect is the seat of, as I said before, the voice of wisdom. In English, we call it the conscience. The conscience is that voice inside me, that knowing inside me, that is forever trying to redirect me to the truth, to direct the pace of my life, the direction of my life, the direction I'm traveling in, towards something that will bring power back into the soul, because that is the need of the hour. So I'm just going to ask you to do a little exercise now, okay? So just close your eyes. And take yourself back to any recent moment of difficulty. Maybe you are dealing with a difficult person. Maybe you still are today. So there is conflict. There is a personality clash. Maybe you're dealing with a difficult situation, something that is not the way you expect it to be. Something that feels like it's out of your hands, out of control. Now ask yourself very honestly, when faced with something that is uncomfortable, that is difficult, what do I do? Do I generally point the finger outside? Do I criticize? Do I judge? Do I blame? Do I go into the mode of the problem is out there and I'm just a victim? Or do I resort to storytelling? Do I look here and there for people I can tell about what's going on and repeat the story again and again and again so that it makes me feel better? So that it allows me to get so confused by the story, caught up in the story, avoid the issue, What tactic do I use? What is my intellect going back to? What default mode do I have still within me? Because it is this default mode that is taking away my power. That is the leakage within the soul. Just honestly acknowledge how your intellect works. And now just take a deep breath in and bringing your awareness back to the here and now. So this might have given you just a little bit of an inner glimpse. A glimpse into how you work, how the intellect misconstrues what is going on, and how change is actually thrown out of the window. And we still go round in circles. You know, we avoid the issue, whether it's just by creating clouds of confusion or whether it's by actually pointing the blame outside. And so a clean intellect, a pure intellect, a powerful intellect is a wise intellect. And how do I get there? So for an intellect that is the first type that I spoke about, the intellect that criticizes and blames and shames and judges, if I want to create a personality of purity from that intellect, usually what is lacking is just a simple word, love. Baba talks about the loving intellect, you know, the buddhi based on sneh, you know, buddhi based on what Baba calls preet buddhi, loving intellect. It is an intellect that is completely in tune with the drama and accepts every scene of the drama, every role in the drama, and also allows me to not just accept it, but to integrate that learning into myself so that I can actually not only overcome the difficulty for myself, but take others towards a place of a lot more power and, to see the way out. So when the loving intellect is not completely functional, I go into the intellect of criticism, the critical intellect. The second type of intellect is the intellect that goes into confusion. Baba calls it moonj. It is to go into complete turmoil and chaos, to get trapped by the storm, get pulled into the storm. It's a very doubtful intellect. And that kind of intellect, unfortunately, also pulls others' intellects into the mess. So there's quite a karmic account there. Both of them create a big mess, but how do I get out of that? So Baba says from doubt to go to faith. And this kind of intellect is not a negative personality per se, but it's a weaker kind of personality. You know, it's a person who doesn't say bad things about others, but gets so lost in the story that there is no clear direction out. So to create that, I need deep faith. So love and faith, they are the two ingredients that pull me out of my old way of modus operandi, my way of dealing with my old sanskars. Even though we always say I'm dealing with a situation, ultimately, I'm dealing with my own sanskars, my own personality. So if I want to activate, because this is what Baba is trying to do, isn't it? He's activating our intellect. He's assisting us to create that love, that faith, which allows this inner voice of wisdom to speak. And as this inner wisdom speaks, invariably it will take me to a solution based on my pure, clean sanskars. The sanskars that actually are sitting there in the soul, but have been forgotten. And because I've forgotten them, the direction of my intellect is like a compass needle. It's not clean and clear, it's waving. And it doesn't have the power to stay still, to stay stable. So let me take you through another very easy exercise. Simple one. Once again, close your eyes and just breathing in and out. Just come to a place of stillness within. And take your mind back to either the same situation you are in or another difficult situation, a confusing situation. And ask yourself, if I remain still in this situation, if the mind is still and the needle of the intellect is stable, the mind is still, not affected by my old personality, the intellect is stable, totally aligned. With a personality of love, of faith. Then what does my voice of wisdom say? What do I need to do in this situation? To create the most powerful result. As a golden age soul, I have all the power and all the wisdom within me to not just manage every situation, but to bring out the best. So what does my voice of wisdom say? Because right here, right now, the still mind and the stable intellect can only take me in the right direction. So now, Just bringing your mind and intellect back to our conversation. You know, Baba gives us a very simple and easy method based on complete strength in the soul, full battery. And it begins with the exercise we just did, which was stillness. Baba calls it the full stop. The full stop is the start of everything good. It's interesting. In the world, people run around to achieve things, but our achievements start with full stop. And so to put the brakes on, complete full stop, is the way, really, to trigger the intellect internally, to then align itself, redirect itself to either soul, but also Baba. Because until I'm spinning, until I'm allowing the mind to move, and there is turmoil within, there is chaos within, wisdom can never speak. So stop, and then complete control. Baba calls it controlling power. It is the ability to stop the mind and to take the intellect and just gently move it from all the spinning to stillness. And if I can, at that point, inner stillness and connection to Baba, it creates inner stability. And then comes the most beautiful part, which is where my personality changes. It's digging deeper in that state of calm and using the inner, clean, pure personality that is actually buried below my old personality, my negative sanskars, my tamo guni sanskars. Because they're the default ones that I've been using for a long time, but below them lie a whole stack of clean, pure sanskars for which I really need to penetrate inside, dig deeper. And that is actually all that yoga does. When we remember Baba, when the mind is still, the intellect is very stable, concentrated on the one, the power and the light that I absorb actually just digs deeper, digs deeper, digs deeper. And the deeper I go, the more of my pure, powerful personality that I can bring up, that I can emerge in Baba's language. So if I want to create a cleaner, purer, more powerful personality, it relies on this ability to dive deeper, to dig deeper. And for that, the prerequisites are complete stillness in the mind and just taking the intellect with control and aligning it back to soul and God. The result is the power to rule. Baba calls it ruling power, which is what is ruling power. Once I have aligned myself in the right direction, ruling power is the ability to use everything I have. If you're a master, you're a ruler, you don't stop in life. There is no full stop. But you know how to bring the best out of everyone and everything around you. The master of a house, knows how to use every resource available, every person available. They don't just stop, but they know how to use the resource at the right place, the right time to get the result you need for now. It's a little bit like you might have a house helper, who's very busy today cleaning the windows. But you've got dishes that need to be washed, and that's a priority. So you will then redirect the energy from the windows to washing the dishes. So the power to rule myself is the power to use my inner resources in the right way, at the right time, to get the right or the maximum benefit. When I am a self-master or a ruler, which is Swaraj, which is the ultimate aim, that is the purest, cleanest personality that I could have. Not only have I dug deeper and discovered the tools and the gems and the resources I have, but I am then able to use those resources and apply them in the right place at the right time. This is ultimately the final destination, which you can call it Lakshmi Narayan, you can call it Karmatit stage, you can call it perfection. As per the class today, this is, my true Avyakt personality, my Vyaktitva, This is how I get to a place of not just being the complete controller, the powerful one who deals with what's going on in mind and intellect, but I'm also the ruler who has within its reach everything I need to respond to life as a perfect human being. So I think I might just stop there because it's 6:15 and give you a little bit of time to make comments or ask questions. Actually, just before I do that, I just wanted to also touch on just the beginning of the Murli, where Baba often does things upside down. He likes to give us the result first. So clever. And then tell us the methodology later. And in some ways it's good, because unless I can see the reason why he's giving the methodology, you could fall asleep in the Murli, or you could just, get distracted. But when he makes it very clear, look, I'm taking you here, then, there's an interest. Oh, yes, I want that. And so the actual result that Baba had given in the beginning of the Murli was, come close to me. You can only go closer to something, coming back to my original statement, when the direction that I'm heading in brings me closer. So come close to me, because being near me will make you powerful. If you have created inner power, which is where from the intellect coming to Baba, which is the closeness, I then have created power in the soul through discovering all the resources I have available to me. But when you use these resources from powerful, you will become content. Contentment or happiness is a result of using my pure resources until I actually bring them into my dharana, into my action. There cannot be contentment in the soul. Okay, so I'll stop there. And yes, so look forward to hearing your thoughts, your comments, questions, whatever it might be. So I don't know if you're a shy group or a talkative group. But this
So, Sona, a question. Both the reflective exercises that you made us do, and in the first one, where I could see the impact I could be having out of certain experiences and how it creates a turmoil where I am within myself, and then me creating that frequency even around me, my environment, where I'm not 100% out to give my best, my potential. And to the second one, which you actually made me see that what's there, and you talked about love. Okay, and what I could connect to was the power to let go. But at that moment, like when I saw that if there is an attachment for certain experiences where there is a helpless situation that I would have, where I want to help, but my hands are tied, I can't do anything because the other soul is not responsive, not available. And then I can see that, okay, it's not love, it's more of what I want to do for myself, not for that soul. So in a way, I'm being selfish, that I am holding that kind of an emotion. But even having that understanding and getting it that yes, love is when you let it go, when you have the other person as a priority in front of you. But then too, there is a heaviness that I would feel, that understanding the practicality of it, yet it makes a lot of sense. But then why yet that heaviness in spite of the understanding to let go?
Mm.
That's my question.
It's a lovely question because, as we all know, as Brahmins, we've become, encyclopedias of information. We call it gyan.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it is gyan. I think a lot of it is just principles and information and, theory. And as you said, it's so clear that what I really need, your voice of wisdom, the intellect, the pure part of the intellect, your conscience told you, you need to let go. And I think, honestly, I'm not sure how everyone else on the call feels or what they discovered, but I think in every single lesson that we have to learn in our life, there is something that we need to let go to create space for something new to emerge. But, obviously, we've had old friends with us for 63 births, this old set of sanskaras, which is ultimately this final personality that I have ended up with after 63 births worth of practice. And it's been practiced to perfection. Every birth I've been building on the old sanskaras, the impure sanskaras. So it's a pretty big building that I've created. So to let go of it is way too scary. And honestly, since we know that if I don't let go, I cannot plant something new. I don't just need love. What I need is deep faith in myself that I, having let go, will still be able to manage. When COVID struck and there was a lockdown, each one of us would have experienced something being taken away from us. For some, their jobs were taken away. For some, maybe they got locked down in a place where they don't live. My example, I was locked down in Madhuban. I couldn't get back to Abu Dhabi. For some, maybe their time, their routine got taken away from them. For some, the support system they have in their life. Like maids and servants couldn't come to the house. For some people, their cooks couldn't come. That created so much turmoil. They had to cook their own food. As Brahmins, that was the easy part. So,
And some lost people as well, family members.
exactly. Some people you love got taken away. That was a very hard lesson. But what happened in the process was, I wouldn't say that they let go. Things were snatched away from them.
Yeah.
And in that snatching away, a space was created inside for learning and for growth. When you have faith in yourself, you don't wait for the drama to snatch something from you. Because as your best friend today, brother, and I don't know if this is your question or from someone else online, just reading it out, but whatever it is, from the depths of my heart, as, a sister, as your friend, as somebody in the same boat as you, all I can say is, before the drama snatches away that which doesn't belong to you, which is not your truth, if you can have the faith that you will survive, even if you let go, you will let go. What stops us from letting go is the doubt that I need this to survive. And the soul actually needs nothing. The more free the soul is, the more I am closer to my real default, to my perfect personality. But the intellect, I call it a sticky intellect. It's kind of latched on to different things. And the only way, and the only one who can do it is you, the only way to unhook myself is the faith that I will survive even without this. And if I don't do it now, out of love for myself and faith in myself, then let me be ready for it to be snatched away at some point in quite a rude and drastic way by the drama. Is that what you want?
Yeah, so if I put it in another word, what I could get out of what you're saying is this birth, of course, we are settling the accounts, how in here we have the March end where we would settle the accounts. And here we are settling accounts not only of this birth, but all the previous births as well. And that's what may get overwhelming. But yes, the key, like that you said, is faith, bringing forth that, and then preparing yourself to be in a way that it doesn't reach a stage where it gets snatched away or you get impacted by that.
Whatever you are latched onto, Baba calls it attached to. Actually, what does attachment mean? Attachment means I give you the remote control to decide how I feel. You go up, I go up, you go down, I go down, You fluctuate, I fluctuate, you're stable, I'm stable. So I'm completely taking this remote control. I'm taking my power and putting it into the hands of the person or the situation or the thing. You have a new Mercedes and you're so attached to it, that gets one scratch on it. And it's as though someone has scratched your soul. So all attachment really means is I'm giving my power away. Is that how you want to live? If I say it in more crude language, bloodsuckers, leeches. There's some, lice, jua. They attach yourself and they suck your energy, your blood out of you. That's how I'm living. I'm allowing the objects that I'm attached to, the people I'm attached to suck out my energy. So ask yourself, you could do another reflective exercise one day, just sit quietly and ask yourself, who and what are all the leeches that are stuck on me at the moment? Of course, not my physical body, but the soul. Sit honestly and write them down, because we all have many. Many. And unless you can identify them through this honest reflection, you don't even know what part of your personality needs to change. You don't even know where you need to, which leeches you need to pull off. So I hope that's helped.
That does answer, because I keep on going through at times of having the knowledge about it, but at the same time the application of or getting used by that learning. And of course I do come across other souls as well. So I guess this does answer. Thank you, sister.
You're very welcome. It's really interesting how Baba often says, have mercy on yourself, be kind to yourself, And I think the opposite of that actually is abuse yourself. And in a state of tamopradanness, what the soul does for itself is the opposite of self-respect, which is self-abuse, which means I leave myself open to be hammered. Attachment means, as I said, I'm giving my power away, but not only that, I'm opening my arms to influence and affect. Come affect me, life. Come influence me. And it's a form of self-abuse, actually. It's very deep,
Yes,
isn't it? It's very, very deep. Yeah.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, Sister Raki.
You just mentioned that the opposite of self-love is self-abuse. And how do one actually look at putting a balance or harmonizing this? See, the whole exercise that you've taken us through, what I was seeing for myself was somewhere in the depth of my conscious, I know that this is not the right thing I'm doing, but I don't have the power to catch myself at that moment and take hold of the thing that is meant to be in right direction. So how do I bring that power and energy within me to catch what's coming in?
It's only one word for me, self-reflection. Not when you're in the situation, but to do the post-mortem properly. I don't think a day goes by for any of us where we haven't had some up and down in our thoughts. You know, even the slightest thing like, oh, I wish she hadn't said that. Or, oh, here we are, I'm dealing with the same stuff again. You know, or, even the thought of, I wish I didn't have to do this or anything. If I'm not totally flowing with life, even that slightest disturbance inside, it may seem to be a very tiny little wave, but it is actually indicative. It is a symptom of what is going on deeper within. And if I'm pushed more against the wall, that wave becomes bigger. Then we say, oh, I got angry. But if I had caught the tiny little bit of frustration inside or irritation inside, it's the same as dealing with anger. So the more I can self-reflect post-mortem, let's do the post-mortem first. Let me get the process of going, oh, okay, so now I can see where my patterns lie, where I'm short-circuiting. You know, it's easy to say, I want to have the power. When I step into a situation, I prepare myself, it's all good. As Brahmins, we're very good at doing that. Yog lagao, sakash bhejo, all that is fine. What we forget is I'm taking the old me into the situation with a band-aid on top of 15 minutes of yoga.
Yeah.
But the old me has not been sorted out at all. So every time you feel this disturbance inside, the mind is the easiest place to catch the disturbance. The mind is just telling you that it's picking up signals from the old sanskars. In the same way, the good side is the intellect is telling you your voice of wisdom, and when you see how wise you are, it's telling you what pure personality is below it. And we all have a pure personality that has a slight difference, just as we have impure personalities that are slightly different. So our pure personalities also, are very fine-tuned to the role we have to play in the cycle. Let me pick up on that.
That's most of the time a question, between these two pendulum, where am I going? And I got the answer when you said it's only deep reflection.
And really, for me, when Baba says study every day, and people think it's showing up at Murli class and hearing the 20-minute recording of the Murli, that's not study. Study is to take that mirror and then look at myself. The mirror, if it's lying down, aina aisa pada ho, it's of no use. That's the Murli. Now reflect it back into yourself. How is this working for me? What's going on inside me? What point can I take and reflect and sort things out a bit deeper inside today?
Shanti sister, Shanti everyone. Every day we play a number of roles. This is one aspect of personality development, what I was thinking about through Baba's wisdom. What I make out that in every day we play a number of roles. If we write down those roles and then direct our thoughts towards them, for most of these roles, there are textbooks available because a lot of people study to attain that role. In case of medicine, a doctor, he needs to read a number of things. An engineer needs to learn a number of engineering concepts to become an engineer. So the right thinking needs to come into that place. So Baba says, "Vyartho nikal do." So by putting the right thoughts there, probably the thoughts pick up a channel to becoming somebody. And at the end, I mean, once we come back to our home, where then we need to again put a full stop and then reflect upon it as a soul. While by writing a journal or by communicating it to Baba, again we get into that soul state, the full stop stage. And we have number of resources for that matter, and we should be associating with right people for right time in right place, and that's when probably we will get a direction to become the right person we want to be. Thank you. I'm Shanti.
Just be very careful that skill is different to personality. A skill is something that can come from education, that can come from a hobby, from practice. In the same way, of course, your personality is also practice, but a skill is something that is more connected with your role. Personality is connected with the being, that's all. And your personality will shine through every role you play. You may not use all your skills in all your roles. So if you're a musician, you don't use your music possibly, when you're cooking your food or when you're dealing with your child. But as a musician, you're using the skill. But your personality goes across all of your roles.
And Baba says that you have to be Karmendriyajit. That is, work through keeping your five senses accurate and pure. And what I have realized is in most of our roles, these five senses play a very critical role. And if we keep them sharp and correct, then half the job is done already.
Ruling power, isn't it? The ability to use the five senses, because we're not shutting them off. We're not taking our eyes out like Surdas. We're using that. We're ruling over them and using them when I need to, closing them when I don't need to use them, So that power to use my resources, which are my five senses, my inner subtle senses, that really is the ultimate way of resetting back to pure personality. Yeah. Okay, so how are we going for time?
Yes. We don't want this to stop, but yes, we do have a constraint. I was just asking Sona if anyone else would like to ask any questions. We'll just take a couple of moments to see if anyone wants to ask any questions, or then we can move on to the meditation. Is there anyone? One more person, one more. Yeah,
yes, yes, sister. Thank you, Baba. And thank you, sister, for this very nice explanation. In your own experience, how have you practiced breaking the cycle, getting out of the repetition and moving on? Is there a simple exercise that you have practiced?
Few tips I can give you. The first and the most important one is I want to change. Many times we say we want to change, but as Brother Vimish was saying, we don't want to let go. I really don't want to let go. So that's the first one, such a deep, deep desire to create change no matter what it takes. So a very simple way of changing is to hang around someone who has that skill, who has that pure personality. You know, that's why many times I remember the old days years ago when things were not going right for someone, Dadi Janki would put them with someone who had the personality that the soul needed to emerge. Why? Not only the energy, but just watching how they work in difficult situations gives you a practical proof of how you can apply something. So if you can identify someone who has the strength that you are working towards, hang around them and see how they deal with situations. It's a very easy way. Usme koi deep gyan, yoga, managing the mind, all that is hard work. But just picking up, watching people, it's the way children learn. It's the easiest way. Okay, say you don't have someone like that who you can spend time with and be around. The next best way is what I call play acting. So just imagine yourself in that situation. Whether it's in your yoga time or whether it's just when you're sitting having a cup of tea. Imagine you walk into that situation, that same situation, that same person, that same set of circumstances, and see yourself behaving to your absolute best. Because if you can play it out in your mind, you will play it out in your actions. But if in your mind you're saying, I can't manage this, I don't know what to do, I'm confused, or it's not possible, whatever you're saying to yourself here is what's coming out in your Vyakt form, your Vyaktitva, which is your personality. What happens on the Avyakt comes out in the Vyakt. That's a reality. Play it out in your mind. Make it real for yourself. Create the new you in your thoughts, in your subtle form. And then see how naturally you will be able to work with it, with yourself. But as I said, the first thing and the cornerstone of change is for me to dislike the old me. Dislike in the sense, not hate or anything, but to know that's the wrong direction. I want to change at any cost.
Om Shanti. Thank you, sister.
All right.
Someone's given a comment. Sorry, I just wanted to comment on something. Yeah. Someone is saying that hanging out with Baba is a good thing. Well, look, maybe I'm going to shatter some beliefs here, but Baba is a concept. Baba is an experience. Baba is the most supreme, pure energy in this entire universe. I'm talking about Shiv Baba. So yes, Shiv Baba has a very deep and subtle effect on each of us as a soul. But the personality needed down here to live through the cycle is something else. That's where we have Brahma Baba. And that's why we get so influenced when we read stories or we hear stories of Brahma Baba. That is very beautiful. And many stories about Baba have helped me. However, having said that, in a practical form here today, Dadis were lucky because they saw that practical form of Brahma Baba right there next to them. The action and the energy behind the action, the feeling that Baba created. Baba is the ultimate aim, I do agree, but if you can have a connect with somebody, you're not gurufying them, you're not glorifying them, but you're watching their steps and you're watching their reactions and responses in a practical way. It is very, very helpful. Sometimes, unfortunately, I think we forget that we live on this plane, a very practical plane, where change is required in a way that you can see it and others can see it. And we operate just on this, super subtle level, baba, 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 everything. But then there is no shift happening down here. 30 years a yogi, 40 years a yogi, 50 years a yogi, and the sanskars are not changing. So I guess I sometimes question the methodology and the way I'm applying what I have learned and the power I have. And if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. So we need to maybe tweak the methodology a bit to create a new result. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Baba to bits, and all my yoga is with Baba. Sometimes tough sanskars don't just shift through yoga. You need strategies to change them. Okay, I think we might be ready to finish.
Yes, Sonaben. So should we move on to a short meditation?
Sure.
Yeah. Amiben, can you put some music on, please?
Yes, Apurva Ben is playing.
So just 2-3 minutes, since we don't have much time. As I sit here quietly, I take a moment to reflect. I go back to the start of my journey with Baba, and I see myself the way I was. And I see where I am today, and I acknowledge this incredible soul journey that I have made. And now from the place I am today, I see what I will look like when I turn into an angel. I don't just see it, but I observe how I react, respond, deal with life. And in the next coming days, I will create some milestones for myself to get from where I am to I, that angel, the pure, perfect me. Maybe just 3 or 4 milestones, things that I need to work on. Because as I create that pure intention of change with an honest heart, the entire universe, my entire story, the drama of life, cooperate with me. And create my reality. Even Baba loves an honest heart. And an honest heart attracts Baba's help more than anything else. Om Shanti.
Thanks to Baba Sonaben for making you the instrument for this reflective and rejuvenating session. And we firmly believe that we need more of these sessions. And we need more of you to have these sessions and longer periods as well. So we shall schedule more of them with you and look at your availability.
It's my honor, my pleasure. Thank you all.
Thanks to Baba. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti, thank you.
Thank you all.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Sonaben, and thank you all of you. See you tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. Have a nice day.